This is Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
How's it going, Jules?
Not bad. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, we're getting ready to record during the holiday season.
I can't even believe we are really in the midst of it all.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. But
Have you done your decorating?
I have not done my decorating yet.
Oh,
but
goodness.
I don't even know if I'm going to get a tree.
Really?
We're fostering a dog for a couple weeks. And she's a bigger dog and she's got a tail that's a weapon. So I'm going to be like de-dogging my house, I guess, putting things up. And I think if I had a tree, she'd just be wiping all the ornaments off it.
Yeah.
So
we don't need as much as we used to have anyway. Probably all decorated up in our houses. So
But I love all the things that I see on Instagram.
Yeah.
For example, ice cubes in a tray.
Ice cubes in a tray with like
Drop
raspberries.
2 cranberries in each one and a little sprig of rosemary. How pretty is that? Festive.
Have you been doing some Pinteresting?
No, that's just on Instagram. I started following this like Christmas, I don't know, DIY Christmas thing. And so all these Christmas ideas are coming up.
That is a really good idea.
I know. Red and green, the cranberries, the sprig of rosemary makes it look a little evergreenish. And then you can just put it in water or, cranberry, a drink, whatever.
Vodka.
Yeah, vodka.
Yeah, my thing is I want to bake. I like to bake and bake all kinds of cookies.
What's your
stuff like
favorite
that.
Christmas cookie?
Oh gosh. Well, a lot of them aren't like I'll do some shortbread ones and things like that, but I like to do more, like peanut brittle and like these
I'm
yummy everything
total
with chocolate.
opposite.
Yeah, anything with chocolate, of course.
Spritz cookies are my favorite.
If you make them right, they melt in your mouth.
Yes.
Yeah. And you have that cute little gun, that makes them.
You make all the little shapes and
My Aunt Margie makes these Swedish cookies that we always are begging her for. She's done it ever since we were little, and they must take forever. They're so cute. They look just like macaroons almost.
Oh.
And they melt in your flipping mouth, and they've got like frosting in the middle of them. It's so good. I really hope she doesn't make them this year if I see her, because I just gobble them down. But
Swedish. Do you come from a Swedish background?
yeah, my dad.
Swedish?
Yeah, Irish and Swedish.
Oh.
But she's married to my Uncle Folke.
Oh, I've met them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's like one of those amazing cooks. Amazing everything she does. Decorating everything.
So did you open your presents on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day?
When we were little, when you were at home. Oh, when we were younger, we would open like one on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
And then we weren't allowed to get up in the morning until my parents got up. And then this is very different than a lot of families, but we would hand out each present, and then each person would open their own present. And then you'd go to the next present.
Yeah.
Because it just made it last longer.
Oh, I did that with my kids.
Did you?
But growing up, because the Swedish tradition is Christmas Eve. So I come from a Swedish background. And so growing up, we opened our presents on Christmas Eve.
All of them?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
All of them. But I like that because then we would wake up the next morning with all the Santa stuff and it wouldn't be as overwhelming.
Actually, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Not that it matters now.
I know, but...
Yeah, we would spread everything out and make it look like Santa had left this huge thing. And of course, the youngest, Jared, he would be up at like 4 a.m. ready to go.
What do you mean make it look like? Santa probably did leave all that stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Santa Brian and Santa Julie left
Yeah.
him. Yeah. Well, okay. So as we're in our holiday season, we have a kind of a topic that we thought would be fun to touch on because it seems to be something that affects all of our lives. And the question to you all is, how do you mind your own damn business?
Right.
Or do you mind your own damn business?
Or should you?
Or should you? Yeah. Are there times when, you know how I feel about the should word? I don't like the
Woulda,
should
shoulda,
word.
coulda.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Yeah. But there's times when you have to kind of evaluate. Maybe we have a couple examples of what that might look like. But when people are trying to mind their own business, they do it more for their own peace and happiness, I would think.
I think that's probably true.
And
Depending on not really even depending, I think... Well, kind of depending. Let me go back there. I think depending on the situation or the circumstances in which you are minding or not minding business to. I think family dynamics are going to be a lot different.
Yes.
Than the dynamics of a workplace or the dynamics of a friendship circle or the dynamics of church circles
or dating
or social circle. Yeah, there's just like so many different
I have strong
categories
opinions about some of those categories. I think a lot of it comes down to, you know, for me now, like when you look at minding your business, it's when I see someone is being emotionally hurt or obviously physically hurt or something like that, I would have a tendency to get involved, or not get involved, but maybe give them a heads up, you know, if it's something that I'm learning about. But that experience that happened with me early on, with a friend who shared some information with me that was gossip, probably true, you know, to some degree it probably was true, but I didn't handle it really well. I mean, I believed probably some of it, and it really, when it came full, I won't get into all the details, but when it came full circle, it destroyed my friendship with her, because she was held accountable for providing information to me that that wasn't validated, I guess is the point, but she was trying to be a good friend to me.
Do you ever have somebody come up? This made me think of, you know, there have been times when somebody will say, and this has come up actually in the workplace when I was in a position of leadership.
Okay.
Somebody will say to me, well, I want to tell you something, but you have to promise you won't tell so-and-so.
Yeah. You can't do that when you're in a leadership position.
And I would say, then don't tell me.
Yeah.
I can't promise that.
Because you have a responsibility to escalate it if there's sexual harassment or something going on.
Yeah.
You know, unless it's something that they just want some personal advice on and are asking you because you have experience with a certain thing, but you still don't share that with other people.
I think that can be true though in life too, in family situations and different situations. What do you think? If it's a family member and they say, well, I have something I want to tell you, but you have to promise me you won't tell blah, blah, blah.
And it's a family member.
It could be whoever. Could be a sister, could be a brother-in-law, could be, I don't know. There's a million scenarios. I know that's really generic. But when somebody, I mean, what do you think about that? When somebody comes to you outside of the workplace, because we know our duty there, but when somebody comes to you and says...
It's family.
Anything really. I want to tell you something, but you have to promise me that you won't tell so-and-so.
That's tough. I think a lot of it would depend on what it is. I mean, if the person's safe, if they're, you know, I saw that they were scrolling how to kill themselves, you know, or something like that. I mean, if it was something awful like that.
But see, you don't know, because all they're saying is you have to promise me that you won't say anything. I mean,
you have to just say, I can't promise that because I don't know what you're going to tell me. So if you don't feel comfortable telling me, then I understand. But if
that's hard, isn't it?
Yeah. If someone's in danger or something is not, is going to affect them negatively in some way, then that might be a different story. You know, especially, you know, like you see, for example, a lot of, I don't know where I came up with this, but like elderly people are scammed by,
well, we did an episode on that.
Well, that was the elder abuse. Well, that was part of it.
Yeah.
But you, as a family member stepping in, you know, a lot of the time those seniors, they don't want their family members to know because they don't want to feel stupid or be questioned or what have you. So they may not say a word, and then their money's all gone and their retirement's gone and everything because nobody was able to step in and help them. But sometimes people don't want to be helped.
Right.
You know, and that's the other thing. It's like they may tell you something because they just need to vent and not ask you to fix their problems for them. And if they're coming to you, then it's usually in a confidant way where you can give advice on what they're doing. Right. You know, and hopefully be able to help them with that. And if you can't help them with that, I mean, there's not a lot you can do, I don't think.
Yeah. Advice standpoint is different, but yeah. And I guess to your point, just asking questions, if somebody does that, you know, I have to tell you something about Susie, but you have to promise that you won't say anything.
It makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I think that minding your own business, or the thought of, you know, why people sometimes don't mind their own business or choose to get involved in other people's affairs, is a lack of maturity. or that's one component. So you see this a lot more, I would say, maybe with younger people that are just kind of learning their way around. I mean, I can remember working at Nordstrom, and there was a lot of that. I mean, there was a ton of that going on all the time. And it wasn't just our division or anything. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
But when people were miserable in their jobs, it became even more prevalent, I think.
Right.
You know, and then you'd have to, if you're hearing about things, you got to address them because, you know,
And that's probably true in a lot of workplace situations to a certain degree.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
And, you know, the trying to get involved and quote meddle in someone's affairs, it could be for your own self-pleasure or your own self-worth because you don't have anything else to do, or you don't want to deal with your own problems, you know, so you're getting involved in other people's problems.
Or you don't want to deal. Did you just say that?
Yeah.
You don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to deal with your own ish.
Yeah.
Or shit.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. You don't want to deal with your own. So you focus on and diving into other people's.
And if you make yourself available for people that, you know, they know they can go to you, then you're going to run across that a lot more.
I feel like that would be so kind of exhausting, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, the older I get, there was plenty of that when I was younger, but I think the older I've gotten, that's why I say exhausting, because you really, I do anyways, have learned how to protect my peace.
Yeah.
And what you allow. I mean, I went through a situation in my life that, and I just remember, you know, saying to somebody, I was like, do you know how hard I've worked to have a drama-free life? Yeah. And so when it works its way in one way, shape, or form, it's noticeable, very noticeable.
I've got enough of my own shit going on. I don't necessarily need to have everybody else's in my business too. I mean, the people that are, you know, really close to me and stuff, of course, I'm going to be there and help them with whatever and, you know, offer advice if they ask for it. It may not be the right advice, but maybe my own opinion or whatever. But I mean, if they ask for it, you know.
Do you think people who like controlling personalities, do you feel like controlling personalities maybe tend to get caught up in other people's
I think
business?
So it might be not just the fact that they are controlling, but what is beneath that level of control. It's like if they don't have their hands around whatever it is that's in front of them, they get really anxious maybe.
So maybe if they have that controlling type personality and are feeling out of control themselves, trying to wrap themselves around something that they can have control over.
Or even manipulate a circumstance to get the outcome that they want, you know, so they have to know information to be able to do that. That's a lot of stuff.
That is a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you see people like that, you just need to kind of run the other direction. I now I'm kind of at the point in my life where I can sense things in people where I just am like, yeah, something's not, I don't feel like this person is as genuine, or they're more interested in hearing about
sixth sense.
Yeah, which I have a hard time with all that stuff anyway. You know, I'm just so oblivious sometimes. But I've been trying to pay more attention to it because you can see, you know, a lack of genuineness, you know, in people, or if they're asking they're asking questions about things because they're just nosy, or you know, if they genuinely are concerned with somebody or care about something.
You know, it's interesting because I've had people, I keep this real generic because I've had people in my life who tend to ask a lot of questions that it makes me uncomfortable. It's like they're just asking questions, but they're pretty kind of nosy questions. And it makes me uncomfortable to and I have to really be cognizant of how I'm answering the questions.
Well, do you have to answer?
I don't have to answer, but, you know, I can't be more generic. I have to be that generic about it. But yeah, it's, I don't have to. No, I don't have to,
so
but
we're always worried about being impolite
and
things like that. But it kind of is, I mean, I've seen people respond to, you know, when there's an inappropriate, you know, question where they're like, you don't even know me. Why are you asking me this? And you're just like, well, if I tell you, I'm going to have to kill you, you know, or, you know, say things like that, make a joke out of it, but it kind of, you know, shuts them down, especially if they don't know them, or just like, wow, I'm kind of uncomfortable with that question.
You know, and when I first started the job that I work at now, I was really very mindful about what information I shared when I first started, because you don't know
About yourself, you mean?
Yeah, because
Okay.
you don't know other people and their personalities and their situations and where they come from, what they like or don't like, what they approve of, what they don't approve of. So I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, I was really careful about what I shared about me personally.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of makes sense too. If you're in a business setting, you know, when you start getting to know someone, they might learn a little bit more about
Yeah.
you, but really, I mean, it's like you're friendly, you're nice, you're cooperative, you're helpful, blah, 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 all those things, but you're trying to get a job done.
Yeah, but then it became kind of weird. I'm like, there's like so much about me that has to do with who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've never done that before. And so when I started this, I was like, I'm just going to like pull back a little bit. I'm going to be careful about what I share. I'm just not going to, you know. And then it was kind of challenging because, like I said, so much about me has to do with
All this
all
stuff.
that stuff.
Yeah. I remember,
You know?
I remember when Brian, when he was, he had a squad, I think it was the SWAT team or something, but all these guys were, you know, a little younger. They play a lot of jokes on each other and everything. And he would not tell them anything about his past, nothing.
Yeah.
So what do? They go start Googling and doing
geez.
all this stuff to try to figure out if he was in the military and where he was. And then they come to me and go, come on, you got to tell us. You got to tell us what the down low is. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I just totally had his back on that one. But they did end up finding something. I can't remember what it was specifically, but it had to do with when he was in the military, and they were trying to verify. They were just like went out of their way. The more secretive he was about it, the more nosy they got.
Right.
Know? And he just kept his lips shut. He didn't say a word.
That's funny.
Yeah, it made him want to know more.
Yeah.
But some lines of work, it's obviously a little bit more casual like that.
Sure. Yeah.
So why do you think people are having trouble or don't mind their own business? I mean,
why people don't mind their own business? Probably because they have nothing. I mean, I think about that, and sometimes there really are people that don't have anything better to do.
Yeah.
They might be lonely in their own lives, and, so try to get caught up, I guess. I don't even know if they try to. I think maybe sometimes people unintentionally get caught up.
Yeah. They try to fill their own bucket
their
with
own
some
voids.
stuff.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I can't even believe I'm going to admit this because I was such a little brat, but we had a neighbor that was down the street, and we called her Mrs. Big Nose. That's just what we called her.
Mrs. Big Nose?
Yeah, when we were kids, we called her that because she would wear her like house coat, and then if you can kind of envision, with her hands clasped behind her back, and she would just gradually kind of saunter up the street for her walk, right? Well, she was wanting to see what was going. She was going slow because she was wanting to see what was happening, I think, in every one of the houses and with all of the kids. And then the moment she saw you, she's digging for information.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. I was probably pretty disrespectful to her at some point, I'm sure, because I just saw her and I'm just like, oh no, there she is. I'm out of here. I didn't want to have anything to do with her. I didn't care for her. I mean, she was always trying to find bad stuff going on in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
So I tried to stay away from her. And, in hindsight, she probably was just lonesome, like you said. And I was a little kid, so I wouldn't have even thought of it that way. But I was more like, here she goes. She wants to know all this stuff and I'm not telling her,
That's
She's not going to learn it from me.
Yeah.
Kind of a deal. But yeah, when you see teenagers and, young adults and hey, all of the stuff out there right now is about the tea, let's get the tea, the down low on so-and-so or what's going on or how things are going. And, it's kind of makes for, fun conversation, I suppose, at some point. But when there's bad stuff that's going on, it's like, oh, maybe there's like.
Yeah, and you know what? I have to bring social media up here.
I know. That's the worst.
I mean, it because we put, myself included, we put so much out there about ourselves and our personal things that we have going on because it's a way of communicating what you got going on in your life,
right.
And so I suppose you have to be cognizant about what you're putting on there. And obviously, whatever it is you're putting on there, you're okay with people knowing, right? But have you ever had people there's just people that air way too personal of a stuff.
Much. Like it's concerning.
Yeah. Like, and between, spouses and family things. You see sometimes people get on there and will like have a rant about whatever. And,
a lot of the rants, if you can recall, over the last 4 years have been politically motivated, obviously too. And boy, oh boy, you learn very quickly who you don't align with on different thought processes. And frankly, I don't need to see 15 posts a day from so-and-so about a Fox News article. I just don't, So not to say I don't like those people. I just don't necessarily need to see their social media.
Right.
Because we, just don't need to. Just like I don't, and I remember, I had put something up, I can't remember what it was. And Mary's like, you probably shouldn't do that. And I'm like, why? It's my personal page. It wasn't anything controversial.
Right.
It really controversial. It was just more like, I don't know what it was, like about Ruth Bader Ginsburg or something. I don't remember what it was, but there are plenty of people that follow me or follow our business that are very conservative in nature and stuff. But none of that really matters to me. It's like, I like helping people who, it's a totally different thing. It has nothing to do with your political beliefs. Right.
Right.
So, or any of those other things. But yeah, I think that social media is very dangerous because people have the ability to dig into other people's stuff or surmise about what's happening with someone or make their own judgments or opinions based on whatever. And they have no problem posting things and there's no filter. And that stuff it can be really dangerous. I think it can be really, and very hurtful,
Yeah.
As when people are behind a keyboard, it's amazing
Well,
how
and
brave they are.
I think you have to know that be ready for people to insert themselves in your business if you're going to put that business out there.
Right.
So I guess that's why I bring that up, in regard to minding your own business. It's like if there's stuff don't air the laundry or whatever if you are wanting to keep that private, because there's plenty of people out there that might envy your life and find it more interesting than their own and really try to get caught up in that.
Or they get really critical of things, which, you don't, especially if you've got something like on social media that is maybe controversial or, or not, maybe it's controversial to them, but not to you. And so they drop their opinions on everything. And
there's a lot of lonely people, of lonely people that are out on social media that don't have anything better to do. Did I like encompass like more than a few things there?
Yeah.
Lonely people don't have anything better to do.
Yeah. And again, it's a really easy way to text or type something and slam somebody,
make
when
them
you don't have to
feel better about.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of not, the gossip thing, I guess. But I think that people, I mentioned earlier about maturity and really having not a lot of life experience, or they're, they just like to see other people's drama. They like to get involved and live vicariously maybe through those other people when they probably have their own drama too. But I think a lot of it has to do with, their poor personal